Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. Good afternoon, everyone. Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is none other than Christine Wickson, nurse practitioner, aesthetic slash cosmetic nurse, dermatologist, rheumatology, naturopathic care. This woman wears many, many hats. The incredibly talented Christine Wickson. How are you, Christine?
Hey, Brad. Thanks so much for having me on.
It's a pleasure. How was your Easter weekend?
It was well. It was quiet, but it was good to see people that, like, in the family, just a different theme of having chocolate and trying to be in the Easter spirit without connecting with other people outside of our quarantine setup.
So how are you finding this whole quarantine thing? How has it been for you so far? We're 3 weeks, almost a month in now, I guess?
Yeah, pretty much a month in. Well, the first 2 weeks I was on quarantine. So not just self-isolation, but quarantine because I had traveled with the kids. So we weren't even allowed to leave the home. So it felt like we were on house arrest, really.
Yeah.
and in order to behave and be good souls, we weren't allowed to leave. But we have some wonderful friends and family who were able to kind of support us and do the shopping and all that sort of needful things. But after that, when we were sort of released from house arrest, it felt very, I don't know, it's strange because I could go out, but I almost didn't want to. So being inside with, children that you actually like, it wasn't so bad. And then you realize, wow, like, how did I ever survive? Because I never filed a darn thing in my life. So I'm like, okay, well, I got some filing to do and I can clean, and it made me realize how much I put on the back burner. So it's been an interesting opportunity to say, okay, I'm really needing to tend to the things at home. It's like this pandemic pause has been really useful, oddly enough.
Yeah, I'm finding the same thing. I read an interesting article the other day about the whole world being on pause, and this is a once in a lifetime chance for the world to reset and for us to reevaluate our values and our relationships and life in general. I mean, we've never had this chance before where the world has just stopped like this. So it was a very interesting article to read.
Yes. Yeah. The pandemic pause is the place for priority reevaluation. Absolutely.
But do you think people will actually put into practice what they're doing now, or do you think it'll go back to what it was before, just hustle and bustle and all about making money and not slowing down to enjoy the little things in life like family and friends and just to pause and smell the flowers, so to speak?
I do think there'll be some return to that normal because I think we are so accustomed to that and we've been doing that for so long. But this is almost like a little breath where we've had this chance to go inhale, exhale. Wow, this is a reminder to me of things I should put back into the hustle and bustle. So while we don't want to maintain this sort of economic difficulty and not being able to be with our friends and family, I do think we should be able to weave in almost like a reminder, like, hey, I do need to do self-care. I do need to exercise. I do need to file and all those things but still also go to the restaurants and hang out with my friends and be a part of a community. So hopefully it's a better rebalancing. I do in my own personal life know I was getting too far to the production and being useful and having things work with other humans in my job. This is a bit of a refresher for what really matters and bringing it back into real life.
Well, I really hope people do take advantage of this reset opportunity and put it into practice when things do get back to normal, whenever that may be. I mean, who knows how far off we are from that, but I guess we just have to make use of the time we have now and make good use of it. So
exactly.
So you're a nurse practitioner by trade, but you've also added quite a few other items to your skills and services you studied and provide. How'd you fall into nursing, first of all? And secondly, what prompted you to delve even deeper into the areas you're trained and certified in?
Well, it's an interesting question because I never intended to be a nurse. It was never on my radar of job opportunities. All through like my younger school years, I wanted to be a dermatologist or medicine. So it was actually in the right sort of vein. But as I got into college, or actually high school before college, I wanted to do more genetics. So I wanted to be a part of like the knowing the genome and helping people make decisions for their lives based upon that sort of genomic presentation. But when I got into university, I actually like tanked my one course, the genetics course, which you kind of need if you're going to do genetic counseling. It was the worst mark I got in my entire life. I was devastated.
Yeah.
So I went to the student services. At the time I was at the University of Waterloo, completely beside myself, going, well, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I'm studying, I'm doing everything I need to. And so student services said, hey, there's some tests here that might be really useful. It'll help determine where your strengths are and what your personality is, and those things that might help you make some decisions about what to do with your life, since genetics doesn't seem to be working out for you. So when I did the test, the one test is called the strong indicator test. It gives you 3 sort of top jobs based upon people who are in the job and who are happy doing it. So when I got my printout, the first thing it said was musician. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I actually want to like make money. I don't want to like, I like being a musician, but that doesn't make you money. So that's not an option. Job number 2 was a social worker. And, you know, I was 18, 19 at the time. I'm like, I have enough problems of my own. I can't help anybody else with theirs. So social worker, that's not the job for me. And then the third option was a nurse. So I thought about that. I'm like, oh, that never crossed my radar ever. And the match between what I like and the way I think with someone who's happy in that job was actually quite complimentary. So I'm like, well, what the hell? A test told me to be a nurse. So I applied to nursing school at the time. I was in Kitchener. So I got accepted to Conestoga College and went, and it went wonderfully. Like I was so happy to be in that world, and it definitely was the right fit. And what caused me to move from being a registered nurse to a nurse practitioner was, oddly enough, when SARS was around. So this is a very timely situation for me with COVID going on. I was actually working with patients at Mount Sinai in SARS. And at the time I had 3 young children. And the thought of being in quarantine, and we were taking care of patients with SARS, and that the thought of being away from my family and the significance of what I was doing, it made me realize I wanted to still stay in nursing, but do a shift from the weekend requirement, the night requirement, the holiday requirement, being away from the family and being exposed to these types of situations. So I explored options and decided to be a family nurse practitioner was the next step for me. So to give me more of a sort of a life balance with family, kids, and just a life change. So I went back to school to become a nurse practitioner.
Can you explain the difference between a nurse practitioner and a registered nurse?
So to be a nurse practitioner, you have to start as an RN. So it's your basic education. It's like the building block, the foundation. But then you go back to school and you upgrade and get your master's. And you usually specialize in acute care, or children, adults, or family. So primary or family is what I'm registered in. And it gives you advanced training, skills, knowledge, and judgment, as well as when you pass the tests that the college requires, you are given a broader authority to order tests, make diagnosis, interpret results, and prescribe medications.
Oh, okay. So with you wearing so many hats and having so many skills under your belt, is there any one favorite you have? Or is that
I love teaching. It's tough. I mean, we all have a favorite child, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to listen to this. So.
No.
But I would say teaching is my favorite skill that's included in the nursing realm. And really that ability to take something that's difficult or complex and to break it down into something that's simple and understanding, that those light bulb moments for me are very energizing. And I really like being able to help people understand something simple from being complex to make decisions for themselves or family members.
So going from nurse practitioner to teacher, how did you fall into the world of teaching and becoming an educator? How did that come about?
It's all built in naturally to the process, because as a nurse or even as an NP, we're always teaching patients, we're teaching family members, we're teaching, about this medication or this
Mhm.
process or what this happens with the side effect. So it's a natural skill. But then I realized I actually excelled in it and I enjoyed it. It was one of the favorite parts of the job for me, rather than saying, oh, this is what's wrong with you, or here's the drug that you need to take. It was, this is the condition and here's why it looks like this in your body. This is why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. It was almost like you were untangling this big knotted knitting yarn for them and making it all very simple and straightforward, and that light bulb would go on in their mind. So it morphed over the years from being medically based, where I'm teaching about how to take care of yourself or medications that you need to, into more of the aesthetics, because I just got, again, invited into the cosmetic world with a friend saying, hey, there's a need here at this clinic for cosmetic injectors. Do you want to do it? I'm like,
Mhm.
sure. Like it, so it was never something, again, I never actually sought it out. So when I realized that there was a big need for teaching with cosmetics, that was the next part of the business for me. It just was a natural step forward.
Okay. So now speaking of going into aesthetic nursing, um, you're an entrepreneur. I mean, with a nurse, I guess you're an entrepreneur as well, but you're working for the hospital. But this, as an aesthetic nurse, you're running your own business. What's exciting, or what got you excited about that option or that possibility of running your own business? What do you love most about running your own business?
So another interesting situation where I never planned on being an entrepreneur. I had this vision of being an employee as a nurse, just hanging out, doing my duty and doing the job and getting paid for it, going home to the family. The entrepreneurship, my invitation into that was always sort of there. Like I always liked being a self-starter, had that
Mhm.
discipline to want to, explore and find out things that were new. But it wasn't actually until I was in divorce court that I realized I was going to be an entrepreneur.
Oh,
Yeah, it
all
was
right.
so very strange. I had a test tell me to be a nurse, and I had a judge tell me to be an entrepreneur. All this external guidance.
No
But
kidding.
it was actually in divorce court that the judge was saying to me, you should be able to make more money. You're a nurse, you are a nurse practitioner, you have a master's degree, you should be able to make a lot more money. And I'm sitting there going, Your Honor, like I would love to, there's some really great ideas. However, as an NP working for the government, my salary is capped. There's only so much I can do. Even if I work 40 hours a week, this is as much as I can make. So we had this banter between the judge and I saying, you know what, Christine, you should work more. And I'm like, well, if I could work more and I make more, I absolutely am not against it, but
Yeah.
I am stuck. So after that court session, I left at that moment and I went, I just argued myself into a corner that I said, I couldn't possibly make more money. I thought that's the silliest thing I've ever said to myself.
Hmm.
I literally made my own ceiling, and I just said, this is not acceptable. I can do better than this. So it was 2 months after we did the judge said these things to me that I made my own corporation and included the teaching, the primary care that I do. I also can charge privately for that. And then added the teaching in the cosmetic Botox fillers kind of
Right.
cosmetic injectables world.
Right. Interesting. Wow. What a journey.
I know, eh?
Is there anything you wish you had known when you started out that you know now?
Well, my examples of entrepreneurship before I became my own entrepreneur were not positive. So I specifically wanted to avoid owning my own business for what I had seen. And so what I wish I had known was that it was going to be bigger and better and easier than the examples that I had seen. So that what I had seen as an example wasn't necessarily what the entrepreneurship world is like.
Right. Okay. Now, I also hear you're a bit of a musician as well. So
Right.
yet another thing to add to the hats, another hat you wear. How long have you been a musician, and what instrument do you play?
So I started playing in school in grade 6. We were allowed to choose an instrument and encouraged to enter the music program through the public school that I went to.
Hmm.
So I wanted to be a clarinet player. I
Okay.
thought I was a woodwind player. And you put down your choices. You're like, well, I had tried the accordion. So I said, well, there's no accordion in this band. So I'd like to play clarinet or flute. And my last choice would be trumpet.
Hmm.
So, of course, the last choice, I got my last choice, which was trumpet. And so I happily played trumpet. I was in several concert bands, a jazz band, did ensemble work all the way through to grade 12. And then after high school, sort of put the instrument away to then have babies and go to school in
Hmm.
college and university.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Barrie in 2012, after I separated, I was looking for ways to kind of get back into belonging and being a part of a community, because Barrie was a new city for me. And
Yeah.
so I looked into joining a concert band, and I had a trumpet and thought, well, I'll just go back to my roots and start playing trumpet. But when I approached the Barrie concert band, they're like, we don't need trumpets. We have like 9.
Oh
Would you be
wow.
interested in flipping to the French horn? I'm like, sure, why not? So I've been playing French horn ever since. So, and when we're not in COVID, we actually have practices on Tuesday nights. So all the nurses know that I'm not available on Tuesday nights for consults because it's Horny Tuesday.
Very appropriately
Yep.
named.
Yeah. And,
I
and
love
people
it.
don't forget that. They're like, oh no, Christine's not having sex. She's got her French horn in her face.
That's awesome. Always good to add a bit of humor to things, right? Playing words.
Absolutely.
I also hear you have a glitter shoe addiction. Where'd
Hmm.
that come from? How did that come about?
Well, actually, that's a relatively new endeavor of mine. We
Okay.
were the kids and I were in Florida 2.5 years ago for a Christmas vacation with each other, and we went to the Skechers store. And my one daughter, one of my older daughters, had pointed out these awesomely like glittery, crazy sneaker style shoe, and she's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, mom, you would never get away with pulling that one off." So of course, I had to buy them.
Of
And then
course. Challenge accepted.
because challenge accepted. It's like, yeah, just watch me. So I bought them, and then people are like, oh, Christine, you're the only person that can pull that off, which of course feeds the demon. So
Yeah.
as soon as I had the one, I'm like, okay, well then I don't want to wear these ones out. So I justified being able to get, 5 or 6 other pairs from Skechers. That's just, they're the most comfortable. And not that Skechers pays me for this, but they are the most shiny and the most comfortable. So I have like 6 pairs that I alternate, one per day with one day off so that I don't go through them so fast.
Here you go. You got one for every day of the week.
Yes, exactly. One day of rest.
Awesome. What did you give up or sacrifice to get where you are today?
Yeah, there was a lot to give up, like between time and energy and resources, money. There was all sorts that put it on the sacrificial table that I had to give up. Relationships, my own self-care. But I realized, that word sacrifice, if you change it to an investment, it almost feels a bit better. It's its own investment into my own advancement, my family's advancement, and to contribute something more in this life than I actually had anticipated. So the return on investment from those sacrifices, it's just priceless. I've learned so much that it doesn't feel like I lost any part of me, that I actually grew as a result of giving up some of those things, or at least
Mhm.
exchanging them.
I like that spin on it because sacrifice almost sounds like a bit of a negative connotation. So investment is a much more positive spin to put on it, and it's a positive way to look at it. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Can you share a situation that's occurred in your life that you feel provides insight as to your character?
Well, so I've had several comments made to me over the course of my life, and whether it's parents or teachers or family members, where I've always been super driven, and just comments were made like, Christine, you can't do that. Christine, you'll never be able to, or this chronic sort of underestimation of my ability, which
Mhm.
I think leads to the whole watch me thing. You're like,
Yeah.
you can't. Oh, really? Watch me.
Yeah.
And so that's a really big part of who I am. It's more like, if you give me a challenge, I'll try to see how I can do it, even if you think I can't.
Awesome. Nobody's going to tell Christine, no, you can't do it.
Right. But there's a flip side to this. As you age, as you get up there, you realize there's only so much that you want to accept. Like someone could say, oh, Christine, you can't run half marathon. I'm like, oh, I probably could, but I have to be more mindful of my time and energy that, well, yes, I could, but hey, I don't want to. So it becomes a different answer. Like, that is not where I want to invest my energy. And I don't need to accept the challenge to prove myself on every occasion.
Right. I think as we grow older too, there's less room and less time for bullshit as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
What was a turning point in your life, and how did that affect you?
Well, I would say my divorce was absolutely like pivotal. It was truly a pivotal spot in my life, because I had no expectations of raising 6 children on my own for, the first 3 years of our separation. No plans on being a single mom. No idea entrepreneur was going to be thrown in there. Right. So a lot of my life had been planned of married with 6 kids in a particular area, the whole picture. And that's really what I had to give up, was the vision of what I thought it was going to look like. I had to give up that vision to accept that what I was presented with wasn't all that bad.
Mm-hmm. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that has helped you become successful in what you're doing?
I think the ability to recognize that I'm my own captain. This is my boat, and the divorce kind of pushed me into that spot of, okay, you're the ultimate captain. You're deciding, you've got the compass. Now let's get really clear about how you're going to get there on your own. So that superpower of diagnosing, like assessing, diagnosing, making a plan. And those are my nursing roots. Like you just go, okay, I'm going to use the skills that I've got. So the superpower is I can put one foot in front of the other and just get her done.
Awesome. What profession other than the ones, because you have multiple, would you like to attempt?
Oh, I would be a chef or a cook or whatever. That is, I love to cook and make stuff up. It's funny because when the kids are younger, they had this idea of, well, we have to have food that's recognizable. Or I'd have all this, like lots of little bits. I'd have a little bit of pasta. I'd have this little bit of meat, a handful of vegetables that couldn't make something that everybody recognized. So the theme became a dump meal, where mom would just literally dump whatever she could find into whatever way it was going to be cooked. And if you liked it, tough, because you're never going to get it again. But if you didn't like it,
this is a one-off.
You were never going to get it again. So they became much more experimental. I was like, well, I don't have to worry about it, because if I don't like it, I never have to eat it again. So I definitely don't follow a recipe. And when you like it, though, that's a big problem. The kids are like, Mom, we really want to have this again. I'm like, I can try.
You can try and replicate it, but it'll never be exactly the same.
Yeah. And so enjoy this, like be in the moment, savor this, because you're never getting it again.
What is your favorite word?
Yes. I would say yes is my favorite word. And that comes as there's 2 sides to that, of course. Yes can be the favorite word, or it can be the curse word, because I'm so inspired to say yes to so much that I have to not say yes. But when you say yes, you open up possibility, and possibility is exciting, and it's hopeful, and it gives you energy. So I would say yes is my cocaine that I've never had, but it's I should put that out there. Like, I'm imagining that's what cocaine would be like. But yes is my favorite word.
I love your optimism and your energy. It's very infectious. It's awesome.
Thank you.
What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck. That's the other side of yes. You're like, yes, oh fuck.
If you could have one superpower, what would that superpower be?
Accurate prophecy. So the ability to foresee something
Yeah.
with accuracy, as opposed to like Cassandra, like the Greek goddess, who could see stuff, but she couldn't tell anybody the truth. I would like to be able to have that itty bitty insight to some stuff that goes around corners.
That's an interesting one. What sound or noise do you love?
I have always enjoyed a low pitched vibrational hum, like when you're driving in a well lubed car and you're on the road, or a plane, when you're up in the air, there's that hum. You could feel it in your body, and there's a low sound in your ear. It feels like you're going somewhere.
Awesome. Okay. What is the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, that's a tough one. I've been given some good advice over the years. I would say whatever you think, you are right. So in that, I mean, you can think about anything. You can think this COVID situation is the shit. Yeah. And it is. It truly is. If you think it's the shit, you will find ways to go, yep, this is why this sucks. And look at my bank account and look at, I can't do this and I can't do that. Or you can think this COVID thing is like the best thing that ever happened to me. And you're right. So you will simply find, and it does exist, there's ways that anything that happens to you, you are right. So choose the way that serves you the best. Now, whether that's to feel better or to get action done or to get someplace or get something that you want, choose the way that works the most for you as your predominant thought.
I think that goes back to a little bit of what we spoke about at the beginning, where we have to take advantage of the situation and turn it upside down and make positives out of it, right?
Yeah. It's all how you frame it.
Yeah, exactly. Pardon me. Hang on one second. Sorry, I had to sneeze there.
Bless you.
Thank you. How do you define success?
So for me personally, success is when I have contributed to my own growth and evolution, and that would include learning. There's no financial thing for me. I'm not looking to make a certain amount of money. I'm not looking to have something created. It's a feeling for me that I can recognize or diagnose as learning and growth, because that means everything I experience, whether someone would label it as good or bad or positive or negative, it's success for me. Like I could have a business of mine tank, and I have learned a ton. It's painful in many ways, but if it tanks, I still have had success. And if it goes really well, like that's wonderful. But it isn't success because it's going well either.
Okay. So you're a mother of 6 kids, right?
Yes.
Are they all girls? How many boys? How many girls?
So I've had people ask me, are all 6 of them mine? And I'm like, well, I've gone to the grocery store to see how I can get some more, but they don't seem to sell them there. So yes, they are all biologically mine. I had 6 babies. There's no twins. And oddly enough, I've had some people over the years ask me, are you religious, or, are you Mormon? And sometimes, people don't mean harm by that, but it's quite funny. So me and my horny Tuesdays, I've said, well, I'm not religious, but I'm sure God got mentioned.
I love it.
Or I'm sure I was on my knees at one point, but I wasn't praying. It's just a fun way to kind of deal with wow, you have 6 kids. Like, how does that happen? I'm like, do you really want to know? Like, I don't think that's what you're asking. But so of the 6 of them, 5 of them are girls, and one of them is a boy. And of course, the boy is the last. And I get the questions, oh, were you trying for a boy? And I'm like, nope. How you get a boy is because you weren't trying.
Yeah, there you go.
The surprise, but very much loved and very much wanted. But that's how you get a boy. So
there you go.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Wow. Okay, so what does the word empowerment mean to you, and how do you teach empowerment to your kids? Is it different as well? I can throw another question in here. Teaching empowerment to a boy than it is to a girl, or how do you deal with that?
So for me, empowerment means you know who you are. And in order to know who you are, you've reflected on your likes and your dislikes, what your gifts are, what your challenges are. So you know who you are, you know what you value. So what's important to you, what stamp do you want to leave on the world? And you taking those two pieces of knowledge and identifying how you can contribute and to your own growth and to the growth of others, because as COVID shows us, like, we are intricately connected, whether we want to admit it or not. So you are contributing or contaminating in some manner or not. So figuring out how you can take your gifts, show up in the world, and use those, and having that action to move yourself to use those gifts and knowledge, that's all empowerment. You are taking the power in you to share to the world. So whether you have a penis or a vagina, it wouldn't matter.
Right. Okay. And you obviously teach this, you're a role model for your kids, so they learn from young to be empowered, and they can do anything they want to do in life. And
yes. And having the ability, like, I don't judge my kids for their choices. So if nobody wants to become, a nurse or a doctor or in the medical field, like, hey, that's wonderful. Just whatever you do for your work or your contribution, just make it legal. That's the only requirement that I hope for them to have. Whatever like fills their soul is completely fine.
As long as it's legal.
As long as it's legal. Or here's the other side of it. I guess if it's not legal, that I can either come watch them or see what they're doing, and they don't feel any sort of, oh my God, my mom's watching me, shake my titties, like whatever.
I love it. You're so free and just whatever. It's all good.
It's all good.
What's your favorite quote?
What you think about me is none of my business. I think Marilyn Monroe said that.
I love it. That's an awesome quote. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that one piece of advice be?
So I would probably go back to that 19, 20-year-old really focused on the plan, like go to school, have kids, get married, and say, it's not going to look like what you thought. Yeah. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Okay. Last, if you were to deliver your 30-second speech to the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like for you?
So I would say you really do matter in ways that you can't imagine or even really appreciate, from the small things that you do that you don't think that people notice, which often can be big things to people, maybe even people that you've not even met. You're really important, and you're so valuable and priceless. You're crucially vital and absolutely irreplaceable.
Wow, that's pretty awesome and inspiring and awesome.
I think this, for me, in the reflections that I've done since being isolated, it's so clear to me that there's no chance to play small, because you don't realize until you have this pandemic pause just how vitally important we are to each other. Because you can think, oh, I can just be my introverted self, hang out with myself, do my own kind of private work. But you don't realize you went to the store, you bought groceries, you went to the dining room of this, friends and families. Like, your presence matters way more than you realize.
I love that. That's a great thought, and a great closing thought. I want to say thank you so much, Christine, for being a guest on the podcast. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, the host of the Empowerography podcast. My guest today has been Christine Wickson, nurse practitioner, cosmetic/aesthetic nurse, educator, naturopathic care, rheumatology, dermatology, you name it. This woman wears many, many hats. French horn enthusiast, musician. Just amazing having you on as a guest today. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and thank you again for sharing your insights and your opinions and your advice and your thoughts on all of this today. I appreciate you being a guest today.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.